Hey, how you doing there again, folks? You get a course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks. Sampler review series of videos I've been doing for a little while now. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff. Then, folks, I'm gonna talk about stuff. I'm gonna let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm either going to love or hate this. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm yammering on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm inside my truck. And whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I'm wearing grody work clothes. Typically, when I'm inside the truck and I'm wearing grody work clothes, that means that I was on my way home from work and I found some shit to review for you. And no, that's not the case in this instance. In fact, I've been aware of this item for a little while now. And it was just about kind of finding the right opportunity to make it happen. Because, again, it's one of those things where it's like, on the one hand, I was like, oh, okay, I could get on board with this. But on the other hand, it was like, if I don't like this, this is a little bit of an investment. Not a lot, but what is it, folks? What am I trying for today? Why might I love it or hate it? Because, folks, it's Barq's root beer. Yay! The zero sugar version. Oh. Okay. So yeah, here's the thing, folks. If you watch the show, you already know I'm a big fan of root beer. I love root beer. In fact, I love root beer so much, I have an entire playlist called Root Beer Reviews, which is a playlist for just root beers that I've tried. And I've often mentioned my affinity for Barq's root beer. In terms of more commercially available root beers, it's one of my favorites, for sure. It and Dad's are pretty much the more easy to go to ones, the less niche ones. I like me some Barq's, even though I found out recently it's actually not technically a root beer when you break it down because the flavoring of it. So it gets a little bit but zero sugar, no. But let's find out together, folks. Let's see if I like it or not. Because here's the thing: if I don't, I have 11 more of these because I can only buy it in a 12-pack. So it smells like Barq's, but it also smells zero sugary. It's got to be flavored with sucralose, right? Oh, aspartame. That's awesome. No! What the fuck even? I'm going to go in for a second sip. Because I've learned from doing these reviews that it's not fair to judge a drink based off that first drink, especially a canned drink. That first sip is always the best or worst version of whatever you're going to be trying. But that was gnarly. That was a lot of things that I didn't like. Okay, that's way more manageable. That first hit was some funky stuff. I got hit with like about fucking 10 different flavors. Like it literally was like, like that was the roller coaster my taste buds were on. If it just tasted like that, dear Zool, that would be a bad time. Okay. Oh, I didn't do a thing for the thing. Let's do a thing for a thing that looks like this. Ha 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 ha. Sure. It's okay. It's okay. Not thrilled about the aspartame being the sweetening additive. Because basically, you've got like aspartame, sucralose, stevia, like those are like the main three. And oftentimes I have found with zero sugar stuff they use sucralose, which I guess if nothing else I've gained a bit of a tolerance to because I've tried so many of them for the show now. Aspartame is more the old school one, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's more the one that was the hopeful that it would take the place of sugar. And I know there's been like supposed health aspects to be a thing, but I don't As far as I've ever looked into that, those always seem to be a bit dubious as far as claims go, so I'm neither here nor there on that. I'm just talking the taste. It does still taste like a root beer to an extent. It even still tastes to an extent like Barq's. I like Barq's a lot because I love the hit of it. Just like it has this like very root beer taste, which again is kind of ironic considering it's not technically a root beer. Again, if you really break it down, but so like and I've mentioned this before. There's kind of two camps when it comes to root beers. On the one hand, you have like your A&W and your Mug, which are like sweeter root beers. They're great for a mass appeal. It's probably the reason why they're so popular. Then you have the more what I like to think of as like kind of root beers, where you have they're a little bit harsher, they've got a little bit more of a bite, and those are like your Dads and your Barqs. I like some Barqs quite a bit. I've had worse zero sugar stuff, but I've also had better. The problem I'm running into is that, because like I reviewed when they came out with the zero sugar Mug root beer. I reviewed that, by the way, if you're interested. The kind of good thing about that was I don't dislike Mug, but it's definitely not my favorite. So any like decrease was pretty minimal because I already didn't have the highest opinion of it. Barq's I like a lot. So the drop off is very noticeable for me. But for what it is, it's not entirely it's not unpleasant. It tastes more like, I guess, a diet than like a diet root beer than a zero sugar one. Again, I think because they're using the aspartame instead of sucralose. So with the sucralose, you really have to work harder to hide it. That flavoring but the aspartame is not a great substitute either. At the end of the day, there's a reason why sugar still, reigns supreme. Not saying that, hey, be healthy, do all that good stuff. All right. 2 questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? No. Kinda, I guess. Hear me out. For me personally, I don't No, I'm going to say I dislike it. I'm going to say that I dislike it. But again, I dislike it more because of how much I like Barq's and how much of a fall off I'm getting versus it as a drink by itself. As a drink by itself, it's kind of okay. I don't think it's the best zero sugar or diet, root beer I've ever had. Definitely not. And again, the aspartame, yeah, I mean, again, I get it, stevia and sucralose, they have their fallbacks too, but I don't know that the aspartame really worked, because I do feel like you can taste it. For me, it's a one-off thing. I did it as a review. It's fine. I'm sure I will, as time goes by, drink the rest, but it will not be a rewarding experience for me. I don't think there's anything I'm going to pull around to, it's just, I don't hate it, but I definitely don't need it in my life again. It defeats the soul of the Barq's, it feels very hollow, and I just, no, not for me. If I'm recommending it, it depends on what you want out of it. Do you want Barq's root beer out of it? Then no. Because I'm not saying, again, it doesn't, it does have a Barq's taste to it to some extent. But I do feel like, again, with something like Mug is just, again, I don't hate Mug or anything, but Mug is a very one-note root beer. So even if you go over there and you kind of, mess with it a little bit, you're not losing out on much. Barq's, there's depth, there's a little complexity, there's some bite to it. This takes all that away, and it really does just diminish it to, again, sort of a diet-tasting root beer that has a little bit of a Barq's kind of aspect to it. If you just want a zero sugar root beer, sure. It's not horrible. in that capacity. Still tastes like a root beer. Still has a little bit of that Barq's aspect. I do feel like there's better options, though. Honestly, I think A&W, their diet is pretty decent. I actually think that's one that holds up pretty well. Again, even the mug isn't too bad, but yeah, I don't think Barq's works. I've never had Diet Dads. Maybe I'll have to review that one day and just hang my head in sadness forever. But yeah, this one, yeah. 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of your week, monumental rest of your month, Spanish rest of your year. Folks, go over there, have yourselves a truly, I am so tired-tastic rest of your week. Oh, going on week 3 of extended overtime, which isn't bad. Happy to make the extra money. I definitely use it. I think most people could. But boy, oh boy, am I tired. Final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do can't do all the time. I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Excuse me. Take a step back, try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives, hopefully do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, what's your favorite brand of root beer? And whatever it happens to be, have you ever tried the diet version of it, and what do you think of it? Have you ever had Diet Barq's? I'd be really interested to see what people have to say about that. I love you, Barq's. I really do. You know, and I mean, I don't know about this one. I feel like this, and maybe I'm wrong. I don't know how the Barq's loving community feels about zero sugar Barq's. For me, this is a do-over. This is an opportunity to take this off the market and try again. But it's just one man's opinion. I'd be interested to hear yours. Anyway,